practically speaking, if Putin is going to gain any ground from 2014 in this war, the argument would be, and I know you're torn about this, I'm torn about it. It's a genuine question here now that he's initiated conflict. If he's able to say we just accomplished a little, what is to stop him coming back and asking for more in due course? What is to stop him from using the occupation of Luhansk and Donetsk as a springboard for what he clearly wanted at the get-go, which he's demonstrated quite clearly, takeover of the entire country?
Well, I think by now some disincentives are in place. I mean, for example, the multiple rocket launchers that apparently Biden is going to give Ukraine, they have a range of like 50 miles. And although the Ukrainians have said, they're not going to use them for that, my understanding is they can also, either them or systems very much like them, I think those systems can be equipped with rockets that'll go like 150, 180 or something. And so I think we've got his attention in terms of how much destructive power we can put in the hands of Ukraine. And, if the conventional assessments of the amount of damage that's been incurred by the Russian military are accurate, near term, certainly, I don't think he's going to be up for a lot more adventurism. I do think we have to be mindful of the possibility that he could make kind of a last lurch for Odessa or something, because I think he is a spiteful person and he would love to leave Ukraine a landlocked country. I don't think we can afford to forget about things like that right now. But I think
his weapon, of course, is also the blockade in the Black Sea. So that's a pretty powerful piece of leverage. In terms of his own regime and its propaganda, there is every reason for him to continue. Any obvious defeat is very dangerous for him internally and in terms of Russian public opinion. So what is to stop this thing just keep intensifying? And what is to stop this thing happening, which we provide more weapons, then they come back, then we have to provide more until this thing really gets out of control? And that's the worry. We have an open conflict in the heart of Europe with no apparent means of de-escalating it. And in fact, plenty of ways in which it is escalating. And I can't see at this point any solution that would satisfy both sides. Can you imagine Zelensky giving away Donbass and the whole Donbass region? I mean, I can imagine him saying, okay, Crimea's gone. That makes sense to me. But then to keep the place with this land bridge from Crimea into Russia, that's also a problem for him. He could be surrounded and cut off.
Yeah, well, I think there are other problems. I mean, right now the Russians occupy Kherson, which is on the other side of the Dnieper River. That's not part of the Donbass. It's not part of those two provinces. And they have some other land north of Crimea that's not part of those two provinces. So we're a long way from even, asking Ukraine to settle for leaving Russia with the Donbass. Of course, Russia doesn't have all the Donbass yet, but it looks like they will soon have all of Luhansk, and it may be that it's within their power to secure all of Donetsk before long. You would hope that at that point, Putin at least would want to stop and talk, because he would have secured the minimum politically acceptable objectives, and then some, really, because he does have these troops in other places as well. But so you would think he would be up for talking. And at that point, the U.S. may have to apply some pressure to Ukraine. I just don't buy the argument that we're not allowed to do that. I think we are giving them massive support, much of which they couldn't get from anywhere else. And whenever you give anyone anything, you have a right to attach conditions. That's just a fundamental principle.
Except in that op-ed in the New York Times yesterday, Biden specifically said, whatever Ukraine says is what we will support.
That's the line. And that's what Tony Blinken's been saying from the beginning. And I hope that's not the truth. I hope that's something they think they have to say for political reasons. I mean, he did say he got them to agree to not fire these rockets into Russian territory. That's something, but I hope there's more discussion going on behind the scenes than we know, because what Zelensky has committed to publicly, I just don't think is compatible with ending the war anytime soon, as you note.